I'm making the CYMBIDIUM orchid. And to do that, I'm going to be using the following supplies: shortening, gum glue, roller, knife, palette knife, small modeling tool, small brush, wrappers for the wire. Also, I'm going to use a 26-inch gauge wire. I'm using ready-made gum paste, my thick pad, my veiner, and these are the orchid cutouts from the kit. This is the orchid throat, this is the narrow orchid, and this is the wide orchid. So I'll be cutting 2 of the wide, 3 of the narrow, and 1 of the throat. I'm going to be using my folder. Now I'm going to actually roll out the fondant on. I have my 9-inch roller, and I will not be using the pink rings. And I also have a flower former. So I have already colored the gum paste a purple color. If you need to know how to color gum paste, you can refer back to one of my prior videos. So we're just going to move forward. I'm going to use just a little bit of Crisco to help soften this up a bit. I'm going to begin by making the stamen for the orchid. So I'm going to start with a small ball of gum paste. I'm going to take it, roll it into a ball, and then I'm just going to roll it into a small log. Next thing I'm going to do is to take my 26-inch gauge wire. I'm going to put a little gum glue on it, but not on that tip because I don't want it to fray. I'm going to take this and insert it into the center of the log. I'm going to take the knife tool and cut a line right into the center. And I'm going to take a very small amount of gum paste and roll it into a ball. Very gently press the top of the stamen. I'm going to put a little gum glue there. And I'm going to put the ball in. Then I'm going to take the knife tool and just make a mark right down the center. Now this will dry overnight. So if you know you want to make a lot of orchids, just make quite a few of these when you make them. You can also make this ball out of yellow gum paste. I'm going to hand paint mine, so I'm leaving it white, but to save yourself some time, go ahead and make a small amount of yellow, depending on how many of these stamens you'll make, and you can make those little seeds out of yellow gum paste. So I've rolled out a small amount of gum paste, and I'm going to cut out the first few petals. So I'm going to start with the narrow orchid petal, and remember we need 3 of these. This 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to pull away the excess. The next thing I'm going to do is to take my 26-inch gauge wire. I'm going to take a small amount of gum paste, and not on the end. Don't put any on the end. Taking one of my petals, I'm going to insert that wire in to the petal. And just allow yourself to feel it as you push it through. Be very careful. Now once that's done, I'm going to vein it. Once you've veined it, you're going to take it and put it on your thick purple foam. And I'm going to take my ball tool and soften the edges. And I'm going to take my flower former. So for these narrow leaves, we're going to have two. One that is facing upward, the veining is facing upward, and the other two, the veining is going to be reversed. I am also going to need 2 wide orchid petals. And I'm also going to need a throat. I'm actually going to put my petals inside my plastic folder just to keep them from drying out. So once again, as with the narrow petals, I'm going to take a 26-inch wire, a little gum glue, insert the wire into the petal. If it starts to fray, just give it a little twist. I'm going to take this wide petal and put it on the veiner. And I'm going to soften the edges of this petal. This petal also is going to be placed vein side down. So I'm just going to make another one and then we'll get to the throat. The next thing I'm going to do is the throat. So here's my throat cut out. I'm going to start by veining it. After veining the throat, I place it on the thick purple pad. Using my ball tool, I will very gently soften the edges of the petal, doing one curve at a time. Next, I'm going to take my small modeling tool and very gently roll the sides of the throat petal around the small modeling tool. I will do both sides, keeping the point of the small modeling tool toward the base of the petal. Now that the sides are curved in, I'm going to take a small amount of the gum glue. And I'll be brushing the gum glue to the sides of the rolled petal. And additionally, I will put gum glue down the center of the petal. Next, I'm going to take the stamen that I created. I actually hand painted this one. And I'm going to place it in the center of the petal with the gum glue, leaving a small amount of the bottom of the stem. So I want to make sure that I place it in a position that allows me to completely cover the stamen. As I said before, the yellow pea-sized bud can also be made with yellow gum paste. For this particular orchid, I decided to hand paint it. Once the throat petal is dry, I'm going to give it a little color. I'm going to start by painting the veined lines on the inside yellow. Then I'm going to paint the outside of the petal with the purple petal dust. And I'm going to give it a little color here. Just going to blend that in just a bit so that it doesn't look like it came to an immediate halt right there. And I'm going to take a bit of the pink and just darken the edges. Now all of the stems have to be wrapped individually. So I have already wrapped this one. If you need any information on how to wrap stems, you can refer to the video that I have on leaves. The next thing I have to do is to color all of the petals. So we have made 3 narrow petals and 2 wide orchid petals. Petal dust that I'm using for the purple is actually African violet. How deep the color is certainly up to you. You can color them so that they are very bold or very soft. Once again, I'm going to add the yellow to the veined center. And you just want to blend it in. I'm going to add a little bit of the pink to the edge. As I said before, all of the wires have to be covered with the floral tape. So the next thing I'm going to do is to put the flower together. So I'm going to start by taking the 2 wide leaves and putting them together with the throat. And using the floral wire, I'm going to first wrap the first two. So I'm going to add the second wide orchid leaf. So already we have the makings of the orchid. Now the throat has to face the back. Next, I'm going to add in the middle narrow petal, and that one you'll know because it is cupped. If you remember, we had one petal that was faced differently than all the rest, and that would be this narrow center petal. Now I'm going to add in another narrow petal. And then I'm going to add the last narrow petal. Now that I have all of the petals connected, I'm going to take the floral tape and wrap the entire stem. There we have the CYMBIDIUM orchid. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And if you like it, I would appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.